Albert Einstein once said, "Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." I, my 7th grade self, was sitting at my desk with my head down, focused on the worksheet in front of me. I remember trying to do the problem as I read it in my head over and over again, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. Siena should listen more carefully in class. The line from my report card haunted me, because my routine was perfect. I came to school every day with the homework done from the night before. I sat in class quietly while taking meticulous notes and even asked the right questions. So why couldn't I figure out how to do it? I remember flooded thoughts of self-doubt flood my mind. Was I not smart enough? Would I ever be able to do it? Or should I just quit now? I wasn't able to answer any of those until now. I finally have the answer, and it all has to do with this question. How do we measure success? Now, as a student, I had been taught that by sitting in a class and listening to the teacher speak, I would succeed. In fact, most schools across America teach their students the same thing. But what if I told you that this is completely wrong? According to a study done in 2014, it said that 66% of students in America aren't able to read by the age of 10. In fact, according to another study done in 2009, the average GPA among high school students was a 3.0. And lastly, according to the 2018 April ACT, the average score was a 21 out of 36. Now, by saying these facts, I'm not saying that my or your value is equivalent to a GPA or test score, although I believe it's unfair for colleges and companies to judge us based on these numbers, not because they are assigning a number to an individual, but because it's simply impossible for schools to teach in one method and expect every single student to get the same thing out of the lesson. So how do we fix this? In order to fix the core problem, it's important that our peers and teachers have a better understanding of how we learn. And to do that, we need to understand these 3 groups. First, the kinesthetic learner. The kinesthetic learner learns best by getting out of their seat and doing hands-on activities. Next is the visual learner. The visual learner learns best by actually seeing the information provided, whether through presentation, graph, or chart. And lastly, the auditory learner. The auditory learner learns best by hearing the information provided. According to another study done by the University of Illinois, approximately 50% of students are kinesthetic learners, 40% are visual learners, leaving only 10% of students who are auditory learners. The problem begins here, as most schools assume that every single kid is an auditory learner, and therefore every single kid will get the same thing out of the lesson and succeed. But I find this extremely difficult to understand if 90% of the students in the classroom are learning in a way that makes the material more complicated and confusing. So, because of this, I find it extremely difficult to answer the question I asked in the beginning. How do we measure success? How do we measure success when the majority of the students in the classroom aren't able to comprehend what the teacher is saying? By saying these facts here today, I'm not saying that every school in America should completely change the system, as I know that would be extremely difficult and is unreasonable. But by standing here today and sharing my own personal perspective and struggle, I hope that someone watching this who is feeling frustrated and defeated is able to realize that they are both smart and fully capable. We all just need to learn how to embrace difference in a school setting and educate ourselves in order to make learning spaces more comfortable for everyone. Thank you.